Tonight is just going to be a quick one. We're going to be unpackaging the professionally cleaned injectors from this Ducati 996. This Ducati had some intake backfires, so I'm going through everything. So I wanted to start with taking these apart. I had actually already taken these apart and done a whole thing, all new fuel hoses, fuel connectors and stuff, but I didn't take these out to get them clean because I thought, they're fine. But let's see the results and see how well RXinjectors was able to clean them. They not only clean them, but they also float test them and replace all the O-rings and screens on these. So I really like this company. If you're in the Texas area or even out of state, RXinjectors, they're a Houston-based company, but I really recommend them. They're a really great service on all the bikes that I've rebuilt. I've actually used these guys, and they actually saved a build. You'll see the R6 build that I did. The R6 build, the one that got stolen, those injectors were clogged so bad that the bike wouldn't run. So when I got injectors cleaned by these guys, they backflushed them, replaced the baskets, replaced the O-rings, and put them in. And I was like, oh, this won't make that big a deal. The bike ran so smoothly. So don't ever underestimate getting your injectors cleaned professionally. That includes ultrasonic cleaning them, backflowing them, replacing the baskets, all that good stuff. But let's go ahead and check out what the results are, because we have the stats on how these injectors did. But you can see here's our throttle body. We're going to move this out of the way. Here's where the injectors were. I don't know if I showed it on our last live, but I did go through on the tubes and clean them out with some carb cleaner, as well as just the intake or the injector holes here, and make sure everything was super clean. But let's go ahead and move this out of the way, just up here a bit. Just move this to the side right here. So it's still a little bit in frame. There we go. But I'm going to be also recording. So if you hear me get quiet, that's the whole reason I'm actually recording stuff too. So this is a behind the scenes look at working on these throttle bodies. But yeah, you'll hear my camera kind of turning on and off every now and then. You'll hear the little ba-ding. But yeah, so let me go ahead and get my camera set up, and then we will get rocking. So let's see here. This is a little bit dark. Let's go with that. Alright, that looks good. Okay, so I'm gonna get a little quiet here just because when I'm filming, I always like to have like just the background noise of me working on stuff. But if you guys have any questions, just leave them in the chat below. We'll kind of go through them as I kind of get to a breaking point or a break spot. But let's go ahead and get this set up. All right, so. Number 3 was pretty bad. It improved quite a bit. They were all down pretty bad. Yeah. Had a 10% increase. That's pretty good. And number 3 had almost a 12% increase. Wow. So getting them cleaned was a good idea. I'm excited about that. Again, RXinjectors. If you guys haven't seen them, check them out. They do a really good job. They're in Houston. They're not too far away from me, but I really enjoy these guys. They do a really good work. Let me see if I can get manual focus. Let's do autofocus. There we go. I'm going to do that one again real quick because I have to reshoot this because you guys are behind the scenes. I have to reshoot this because the camera was out of focus. So. %change, 4% change, 12% change, 7% change. That's pretty good. RXinjectors. Check those guys out. All right. Let's go ahead and get these injectors in here. I'm going to stop recording. I'm going to do some close-up shots of actually putting in the injectors, and then we're going to work around that way. So let me scoot this up a bit. I'm going to be using, if any of you guys need a recommendation on assembly lube, there's always the Permatex. I think Permatex makes it. There's Permatex Red Assembly Lube. I never recommend that stuff. Once I found this stuff, I only recommend it because the fact that this is a gel, it will not run off of your camshaft, your lobes, while you're rebuilding your machine. Say you rebuild the engine or rebuild whatever you're doing, and you let it sit for a couple hours, that red assembly lube is running enough that it already comes off. And it actually doesn't leave a very good film at all. So it's essentially the same thing as starting your engine up dry. This stuff, however, is a gel. So right then and there, you know, this stuff is going to stick to it. So it's almost like, it's a consistency of hair gel almost, but it's really sticky and gummy. So it's not just a kind of a break loose gel where it kind of does like a jello effect where it cracks or breaks. It's a very sticky fluid. So it definitely stays where you put it. A lot of people use either gasket lubrication or oil to put these in. I'm just going to use a tiny bit of this stuff just to get the O-rings to seat properly in here. And like I said earlier, I cleaned all the surfaces with some gum out cleaner. Remember, there's something weird about carb cleaners. So carb cleaners are supposed to be safe on rubbers and all kinds of stuff. And what makes them safe is they do not have, whatever it is, it's like, not Tourmaline, I think it was, I forgot what it is, but what makes these safe, it's nothing special, they contain acetone and not the other ingredient. Let's see if it's actually in this, contact cleaner. Let's see, directions, danger, keep it spray, blah, 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 let's see. Burns. Let's see if it tells me. That's the other thing, like a lot of these cans don't tell you exactly what's in them. Do not puncture, blah, 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 size. Let's see here, is it on the front? Quick drying, yeah. Let's see. Pour control, nickel. Yeah, like this one, again, I can't find the active ingredients in it. It just tells you, oh yeah, don't use it on this, don't use it on that, and there it is. Petroleum, do not puncture, crush, blah, blah, blah. Contains petroleum distillates, alcohol, fluorine, propellant. Doesn't tell you one of the main ones, but anyways, always get carb cleaner that only is acetone. Acetone and toluene, or toluene, I don't know how you say it, but that is what gives it the smell, is that toluene, I don't know how to say it, but that is the smell, that toxic kind of smell that you get from this stuff, but the main ingredient is acetone, and acetone is actually safe on plastics and rubbers compared to the other ingredient in some other carb cleaners. It's in brake fluid cleaner. I forgot what brake fluid cleaner is, but a lot of carb cleaners are just brake fluid cleaner, and they actually do damage rubber. But whenever you're looking for carb cleaner, make sure it's just acetone. And it's really just acetone a smelling agent, and carbon dioxide as a propellant. So gum out is your go-to for just basic pressurized acetone. But if you got acetone at home, put it in a spray bottle, it's the same thing. But yeah, I cleaned it all out with that. So let's go ahead and get these in. I'm going to do a quick angle change with the camera so I can get some close-up shots. And again, as you guys are seeing behind the scenes, you are going to see footage from this guy in the next episode, or long format, of the Ducati build, because the Ducati build is actually, we did the evaluation in the clean, but the next video is going to be valve clearances, and then actually I think this will probably be the third video, depending on how long the valve clearance video is. But let's go ahead and get into this. I'm going to get a little bit closer shot here. There we go, something like that. Change this to manual focus. I don't know if there's any camera gurus out there, but I'm not a big fan of huge DSLRs. I have this little point and shoot Sony ZV-1, and it does an amazing job. It's a tiny camera and it doesn't take up much space. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we'll just do it that way. Also, we got new hardware. Let's see, is that going to be in frame? Ooh, I might have to zoom out a bit. There we go, scoot that up. There we go. Yeah, we got some new hardware from just Ace Hardware. I always recommend, if you're ever looking for a bolt, go check Ace Hardware. Their hardware section always has something. Anytime I go to Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, this is all if you're in Texas, and I don't know how nationwide those stores are, but Ace Hardware, their hardware selection is amazing. And I can always find what I need, especially if it's metric. I can't tell you how many times that place has saved me so much money from having to buy some weird OEM bolt that I can't find. But anyways, all right, let's go ahead, and we're going to be recording here. I'm just having a brain fart. I don't remember which way these go in. I have to look at a picture I have real quick. Let me see. See, I have a picture of the carbs. I think I have a picture of the carburetors somewhere. It's always good to take pictures before you take something apart. Aha, see, look at there. Got a picture. All right, let's see. So, this one facing out. That one is also facing out. Facing out that way. That one's facing this way. Okay. So, out, 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 and then this way. Okay. All right, we got it. All right, so clean carbs, perfect. And they got a little chewed up from taking them out, but that's okay. Tiny bit, a little application here. Just enough to put it on your fingers, not a lot. The camera and move it over a little bit. trying to get a really good shot with this camera. Let's see. And change focus. And this is the thing with the videos that you guys will see in my channel. It looks all like super fast. Everything's like ready to go. Everything's edited really quick, but what you don't see is how much time it takes just to reframe the camera. And so it does take time, but it's all worth it in the end when you get to see the full result. Alright, so that's good. And record. Give it a quick little motion again. I'm not gonna use orange on these. The blue is gonna be just fine because these are such tiny threads. I still have that lubricant. I can't grab anything. Yeah, and if you guys have any questions, just leave a comment. Hey, how's it going, my friend? Pretty good, dude, Frank. It's going pretty good. I got my injectors back, so I'm happy. Finally getting this throttle body back together, so I'm stoked. Anyways, alright, recording on this camera. Alright, let's do this. Tiny bit of blue. Don't need much. Hands totally blocking. That's the trouble, like whenever you're recording, you have to be careful. You're never blocking the camera, but as always, I set up a shot and I'm like, yeah, this looks good, and then my hand's directly in the way. Alright, let's try this. Let's do this. Like an in-front shot. I don't know if you can see the camera right here, but let's see if we can do this. There we go. So what are you up to tonight, Frank? You tuning in any other places? Find anything good to watch? Let's see here, we need 160. Wrong way. I have lubrication from this stuff on my finger, and now I've got everything freaking lubed up. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Alright, that's not working. Too close. Focus. There it goes. Now we're focused. Perfect. Alright, now we're good. Okay, now we can continue. There's still some resistance on these things. I should have probably run a tap through here just to clean them up. What's up? Yeah, there we go. Step up, Gen 1 Busa. 95. Ooh, that'll be fun. That'll be carbureted. Or I think it will be carbureted. I got a, what was it? 1990 FCR 400. So yours is the FR, right? Yeah. Or the RF. So, yeah, that would be a good one. I think that's the Yamaha. Yeah, Yamaha. Isn't it FR? No, Suzuki. Just kidding. That's right. I always get the letters wrong. Right, that looks good. yeah, these things, I don't know if you watched very much, Frank, on the last video when I was taking these apart. They were a bitch, and I stripped so many of them. All right, that's a good shot. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. The 95 Suzuki RF 900, is that one of those standard bikes? Does it look like a crotch rocket, or does it just look like a standard motorcycle, like the more comfortable position style? I don't know that one off the top of my head. Where's my phone? Let's see, what is the RF? RF 95 RF 900 images. Oh yeah, that's like the F3s. Oh yeah. Yeah, what is it? Honda. There's Honda F3s and F2s and F3s. That's right in those era. I actually really like these bikes because these were like the true, like fully fared bikes. And I grew up loving these bikes, having pictures of them everywhere, but like they are totally fair, like everything. Every little inch has fairings on it. And so I feel like this era started to slow down, and then you got like the SV 650s where they got more naked and more naked. I'm like, what the fuck? That doesn't make it look like a sport bike. Because then you had the Suzuki did the, what was it, the or SV 650. Yeah, they started to do like this one. Like they started to make them semi-naked. I'm like, why the fuck? I don't really want to see the engine. I want full fairing. I want it to look like super sporty. So I think you're on a good one on that one, the RF 900. That's going to be good because it's going to be a big motor, so it's going to be fun. But it's older, so it won't have the crazy torque and the crazy speed that the new bikes do. So that's definitely a good one. I always recommend smaller bikes like Ninja 250s and stuff, but that's good. Older big cylinder bikes are just as good because you can be safe on them, but they have enough power to make sure you hold on to that bike for a while. It's not just like, oh, this 250's gotten super boring. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I didn't see that. That's weird. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know that. The only thing I knew about them is like their, damn, can't talk. Their, what is it, their Strada line? Ducati. I don't know, whatever that hybrid bike is. That's the only one I know about them. I'm really not a Ducati fanboy. These are the first bikes that I knew of, I liked, but that's really the only ones. And then like obviously Panigales and stuff that I would see at the track all the time. But that's cool. They're coming out with a dirt bike. That's crazy. But yeah, that'll be a good bike to go on a safety course with, and it's a good thing you're gonna be taking a safety course. And I always recommend once you get used to the bike, maybe a couple months of riding it, try and find a track day organization around you, because the track day training will save your life on the road. I've known a couple people that have died that have gotten brand new bikes and they're excited, whatever, but they really don't know what they're doing, but they know how to twist the throttle, and it gets them into trouble. But yeah, make sure you try and go to a track day. Most track day organizations will offer free motorcycle leather rentals. Most, I can't talk for all, but that's something that can be a barrier to entry. It's like, oh, I don't have the gear. Well, most of them have the gear, or you can find it for pretty cheap if you join some of the forums with those guys and even ask around like, hey, can I borrow leathers? But yeah, it's a really good community. Let me get this next shot. Let's see, we did a close-up shot, so let's do a top-down shot, see how high we can go. See if I can get all the way up there. Yeah, always got to keep it new and different. Let's see here. If I'm like this, let's see me push up. There we go. So, always trying to think of the angles and does this look good? Does it look like the last shot? Because that's what keeps people's retention and keeps people's attention when watching your video, is just different angles, really quick shots. Anyways, okay, let's get the next one in. Number 2, that one is this way, right? Let me look at my phone again. I have the memory of a goldfish sometimes. There we go. Just a tiny bit. Lubrication is no joke. I literally can't grab anything. It's like, you know, like some super slick lotion sometimes, and you try to like grab your phone, it falls out of your hand. Well, this is like 10 times. It's really good stuff. That was a little much. Share that. All right, that was that shot. Yeah. Yeah, that's always good. Yeah, and making a daily driver is good. It's a good way to like get miles in and just kind of get acquainted with the bike. But it also gets you acquainted with how crazy traffic is, because when you're in a car, you don't really think about it. You're just like, oh, whatever. Oh, he brake. Okay, brake. But when you're on a bike, when someone brakes heavily, it's, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Like there's a different sensation of being in traffic. And it's only till after like, I don't know, a year of solid riding that you kind of lose that, I don't want to say fear, but just that, oh no sensation, because everything is so new. And just the noise alone, just the noise of traffic. I recommend wearing foam earplugs because I don't know if your bike's gonna have a loud exhaust or whatever, but just having foam earplugs in to cut down on the buffeting of wind. Because I never wore earplugs until I started doing track days, and once I started doing track days, people were like, "Oh, do you have any extra earplugs?" I'm like, "No, I don't wear earplugs." They're like, "What? You don't wear earplugs?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't know. I just want to hear the bike." Like, you need to try it. And sure enough, I wore it, and it made me not only aware of what I was thinking, which is kind of crazy. I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm scared of this corner." I'm like, "No, I'm fine. I'm okay." But it also made me aware of my breathing, because you know how when you plug your ears, you can hear your breathing a lot more. Well, when you're in a stressful situation, you typically hold your breath, and that actually can fuck up your thinking. You actually need to breathe heavily to get oxygen to your brain to make good decisions. And I remember in this one corner where you go in fifth gear and you're probably, it was this, I had a 600, so I was probably only doing like a 130, maybe 100, maybe 140. But every time I go in the corner, you have to downshift twice. And so your bike is screaming, so that, or at least, anyways. So your bike's screaming and you're trying to turn in and trail brake, meaning you're braking hard, but you're starting to turn while you're still on the brakes. And that's such a scary feeling for when you're new to that. And as you turn in, you slowly let off the brakes. But you're trying to do all this with the loud noise of your motorcycle. But when I started to use earplugs, I realized, oh my God, I'm holding my breath the entire way through that turn. And then on the way out of that turn, I gasped. I go, because it was so scary and sketchy. But wearing earplugs made me realize I need to breathe through these corners and just, and you can hear it on some of my GoPro footage. Like I was literally like huffing and puffing trying to make myself breathe, but then it became a normal thing. So not only earplugs are good for noise, but also just your key sense of awareness. It helps. That's a totally underrated thing to use when riding the motorcycle. A lot of people like to listen to music. I don't recommend it because if the music is loud enough to not hear a tire squealing behind you that's about to hit you, it's kind of sketch. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, those will be fun. The superbike and hyperbike. The hyperbike is that some sort of like small track like the supermoto school, or is that something different? Or I guess that might be another motorcycle school name. Let me see what we got here. What's next? All right, we got Ford. We got Ford. Now this one is also Ford. Okay, and this is the only one that's back. I remember that. All right, we gotta get one more shot. I think I'll do a super artsy close-up shot. Let's see if I can do that. I'm gonna have to lower the camera a bit. See if I can do that. I have to, no, you'll get lower. Let's see here. Just a little bit lower. And I have this kind of tripod. It makes things easy to adjust. It just click. Oh, didn't get that right. Click. And then click, and then once it's on the ground I can do micro adjustments. But yeah, there are tripods where you have to twist and then it'll lengthen and you twist to tighten it. If you guys are ever going to be doing filming or try to do your own YouTube videos, I recommend getting a tripod with snap handles, or what is this, tension handles, I don't know what they're called, but get that design over the twisting ones, because I had a set of that and it just, my wrists were done by the day I was trying to, by the end of the day from filming, from constantly doing this. And it's like, I don't really want to be having to worry about, are my wrists going to be too tired to be able to film? Oh, I need a little bit more height. Oop. Make it. Let's see here. Ooh, this might be artsy. I can get the DigiSync in the background. Let's see, DigiSync. Oh, if you guys haven't heard or done anything about it, this is a DigiSync. This is a vacuum balancer, or a carburetor balancer, or a throttle body balancer. I need to open this up, do a review on it, but I needed one of these, a balancer, to get this thing balanced. So if you guys are in the market for that, go check them out. They're a really good, affordable balancer. But yeah, I'll be doing a whole review on that product. If you guys like bike rebuilds, go check out, what is it, like the Bearded Bike, or is it the Bearded, I think it's a Bearded Bike Repair Guy, or Bearded Bike Guy. Oh man, I can't remember his channel, but he's done several videos on it, and it's a good product. Anyways, let's see, let's get this in focus. There we go. Nice. Hyperbike is like supermoto. Oh, that's one of the things. There we go. RIC restoration. Yeah, the superbike surgery. He does a good job. Yeah, and I like RRC because for me, I really appreciate, because everything he does is filmed and everything he does has multiple angles, and I know how much tedious hard work goes into that, because each thing you gotta move around the tripod, get it focused, move around the other tripod, get it focused. And he does it even when getting his tools. So I'm like, oh man, that's so over the top, but it really adds to his style. And yeah, Superbike Surgery, I love when he goes to like people's homes with his van, and those people are like, oh my god, it's terrible. And he's like, I just fixed it in 10 seconds. It's like, oh shit. Yeah, the bearded mechanic, that guy. Yeah, that guy's really good. I like his like comedy. He's pretty funny, and like the editing is good too with him. His or not editing, his the sidekick guy, the videographer with him is pretty funny too. He brings up some good stuff. Yeah, I enjoy watching him. I'm not the biggest fan of watching the older bikes that they work on because obviously I like sport bikes and super bikes and modern bikes, but he's definitely more into the older bikes, which isn't a bad thing. But I just still watch him just for him and his antics and just his whole dialogue that he has and his approach to repairing whatever he's doing. It's just kind of a comical thing, and he has like a good vibe too. It's not like he's trying to teach everyone, but he's just having a good time rebuilding the motorcycle. And I feel like that's what everyone should realize. Rebuilding motorcycles is it's not going to be a headache. It's going to be something that you enjoy, and just like this is literally grown up puzzle pieces. I have some puzzle pieces here, here, and then that's all it is. It's just puzzle pieces. It's just adult Legos or a different style of Legos. Oh, turn you back on. Oh, my camera's getting frustrated with me. I'm talking too much. There we go. All right. I'm gonna get quiet for a bit so I can shoot this. There we go. Okay. Number 3. Bit. Goes like that. Tiny bit of blue. Oop, that was a little bit too much. Like I said, these smaller screws, I don't want to have crazy amounts of Loctite on them, just enough to where they won't wiggle loose. Because if you put too much, you'll have to deal with what I was doing the other day, where I was just breaking bolts and trying to hopefully screw them out or drill them out, and luckily I could get them out. But it was a little bit sketchy there for a bit. These little bolts. Doesn't help that I'm like all super caffeinated. I drank a big yerba mate tea before I got out here, and now I'm like a little bit shaky. See, even screwing that one in, it feels a little too tight. And like I said earlier, I should have cleaned these threads, but going with what we got. Hate the feeling of when a fucking Phillips cams out. It's like, oh, it's just like it's like the yellow herring of bad news or just a bad omen. So like this screw actually doesn't want to fit in there. I think there's some gunk in that particular screw bolt. I don't like this. But we're almost there, and we only need it snugged up. Perfect. All right. Another one bites dust. Sweet. what's up, guys? Let's see here. Yeah, Bearded Mechanic, CJ Mino. Oh yeah, CJ Mino. Yeah, he's exactly what I'm kind of going after that. My bikes of choice are definitely matched up with him. He's done freaking like super rebuilds like that MV Augusta that he's working on. I think he's still doing that one, the one that burnt to the ground. That was crazy, and I don't like playing with wiring and just seeing how much he does with wiring and all those different connectors. It's super intimidating, and like for me, if it's mechanical, I'm not too worried about it. But if it's a full-on wiring harness that's been split in half and you're trying to match them up, I know you're just matching up colors and you can look at a wiring and you can kind of do it, but it's just like one of those things like, I haven't had to do that yet, and I don't really want to do that yet. And if I have the option to just buy a new wiring harness, I'm going to do that. But yeah, that one's a good one. Gen 1, 2 boosters. There's past because they're so heavily neutered. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that much about the boosters. I just know that the newest one they were racing in, I forgot what publication did a race against the S1000, even the GSXR 1000, and it wasn't that crazy fast. So it was kind of like, well, the Busa kind of lost its title. So, but there's just so many now. But even though it's turboed, oh, it was the Kawasaki H2. That's what I was thinking about the other day that I couldn't remember the other turboed bike, because the new Busa is turboed, right? The new Busa is turboed, right? I think it is. Oh, he's working on. Oh wow, he's working on new. Yeah, there you go. Shows you I've been out of touch with YouTube for a bit. But yeah, the new one has a turbo in it, but I don't know how the new Busa compares to the H2R. I don't know. I've seen a couple H2Rs and got to see them on the track. They're such a big bike. Holy crap! But it's kind of cool because I was an instructor with a racing organization, and there's a couple of students that I've run into that had H2s. So like, I'd be on a Ninja 6 or not a Ninja, a CBR 600. That was the bike that I had, and I'd be guiding them, and I could literally hear them when we go down the straightaway, and I start slowing. I could hear their bike just like the blow off valve. I was like, oh, that sounds so cool, because you expect that only on like some, what is it, like Japanese bike or Japanese cars or whatever souped up cars that have big turbos with giant, what is it, turbo release valves? I don't know turbos that much, but whatever the valve is that releases all the built up pressure and the sound that it makes, it sounds so cool. It isn't? I thought that was the big pull because they're like trying to keep up with the H2R since it's turbocharged. Yeah, that shows you how much I know about the Busas, but I remember even on the Bearded Mechanic, that guy, he's helping rebuild, dude, what is that guy's name? The track guy that I've actually ridden with, he has the big Yammy Noob, there we go, Yammy Noob. I actually was racing when he was racing, just in the CMRA groups, but yeah, when he built that Busa and it blew it up, and now Bearded Mechanic was playing with it, and I was like, yeah, those bikes were famous for being turboed up, people making turbo. And then also, do you know about Ghost Rider? Like back in the 90s with his turbo Busa, but it was like stripped down. Yeah, he totally gave it, and it totally gave it to him just completely blown up too. But you should check out, if you haven't seen it, the Knight Rider, the older videos that he did where he was riding this naked turbo Busa, and every time he hits the gas, it's just like doing a wheelie, and you see the flybys of him with a couple other bikes, and they're doing like whatever 180, close to 200, and you see the speed difference on like a European road, and it's just someone up in the hill filming them go by, and it's just like, wow, that is so effing fast. Because even on the track, like my 600 would maybe get up to like 150 or something, and it felt scary as shit. But those bikes, when I got to go to some bigger tracks with bigger straightaways, and you have the 1000cc bikes passing you doing like getting close to 190 at the time, and then literally there's 30, 40 miles per hour difference when we're getting to the braking zone. Like if they outbrake me, they're literally passing me 40 miles per hour faster. And it's such a crazy sensation. You feel like you're just on the edge, like, oh my God, I'm going so fast. And then it feels like you're standing still and you're like, oh my God. But yeah, I love watching that guy because it was whoever was filming with him always gave great perspectives. Oh, okay, cool. That's the new Desmo. I guess, yeah, because dirt bikes are normally like a single cylinder, aren't they? So would it be a V twin, like a V, like these, like the Desmo? Oh shit, I'm getting ahead of myself. See, this is what happens when I'm talking. All right, I need to get this angle. Let's go this angle. See if we can sneak by behind y'all. I'm gonna get kind of a longer shot. And let's see here. There we go. Move my tea out of the shot. I have a fucking Texas tea. Should be sponsored by those guys by how much I drink of them. I drink tea a lot, and yerba mate, which is another form of tea. But I drink those too a lot. You guys ever drink that stuff? Let's see here. A little bit darker. There we go. All right, I gotta get quiet. Quiet on set. It's actually fuel. It's not tea right now. Don't drink fuel. Don't do that, kids. Okay, what am I doing here? Okay, wipe the grease off. New bolts. And the nice thing about working on motorcycles is sometimes you get the garage really quiet and it's almost like meditation because you're focusing super hard on one thing and everything else kind of disappears. So it is technically a form of meditation. I just realized, I think the reason why that screwdriver was camming out so much earlier is I think I got a little bit of grease of this driven whatever on my screwdriver. Oh yeah, totally did. Yeah, that stuff's no joke. So if you're rebuilding something, only use that stuff. No, here. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember how I got this. Here. It's odd. It doesn't line up at all. Like this? I guess this one's like this. Let me consult my picture. I don't remember. Consulting the blueprint. Yeah, it goes top down. Alright, that's why it's always good to take pictures. Ooh, even this one doesn't want to line up. There we go. Just got a little pressure on it. That one scared me for a second. It felt like I got cross-threaded. I'll go in. Behind this one. I'm blocking this, but I just don't want it to slip. I gotta put all my pressure on it. That was good. Nice. Loctite. That was totally just for the footage. I needed some sort of cutaway shot to show that I'm taking the carburetor, or no, I keep saying carburetor. I needed to get a shot of me taking the throttle body away. We're actually going to do that, but I do need to move the motorcycle around so I can have enough room to put this on. So I think the rest of this that you guys are going to see is just me putting this on the bike. And then I am going to play around with the TPS sensor one more time. This is called the TPS. This is the throttle position sensor. You adjust it sometimes. Let me reposition here. So this is TPS sensor, throttle position sensor. It has a little rod that goes in here. When the butterfly valve opens and closes, it reads that in voltage. And it's supposed to be at a certain voltage when this butterfly valve, this front one, is completely closed. And it's supposed to have a certain angle. Well, that's the other way to measure it, is the angle. But you can read it by voltage too. And it needs to have a starting angle of completely shut. And if that angle is not correct, or if that voltage is not correct, you unscrew this bolt and this bolt, and you actually turn this thing just a tiny bit, and it messes with that rod that goes in there, and then it kind of recalibrates what true zero of this butterfly valve is. So you want this butterfly valve truly closed, and then you adjust this, if it needs it, to the desired voltage or angle. That way, whenever it's all tightened up and you open up the throttle, the TPS sensor sends to the ECU what the true value is, or how open the butterfly truly is, so it knows how much fuel to kick in, what rate to kick in, as well as ignition timing. So this is actually a pretty important piece. I checked it earlier, and it seemed like it was in spec, but just like anything with this bike, I've checked things once, but this is a good friend of mine, and I'm just checking things again just to make sure everything's good. If it was my own bike, I'd be like, fuck it, I checked it, it's good. But since this is one of my good friends, I really want to make sure it's perfect for him. But anyways, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I totally do. It's pretty much as soon as I rebuild them, I sell them. Like this, I don't know if you saw the S1000 build. I literally did my ride review video, and then a week later I got someone to buy it. Because one, that bike was really expensive. I bought it for $8,000, put another $8,000 in it, but that was, and then probably another $1,000 in paperwork and fines for getting the title and stuff transferring in. So I was maxing out our play money finances. That was kind of a dumb move, but I knew it was gonna be real important, and I got a great deal. And I was like, to my wife, I was like, hey, I know this is gonna be scary, but I need to rebuild this bike. It's totally worth it, and I know I can do a good job, and I know once I rebuild it, I'll be able to make a profit, and I know it will be popular on YouTube. And sure enough, after all said and done, I spent a lot of money. It was nerve-wracking. I did not want to wreck that bike. There's a lot of people like, why didn't you take that thing to the track and do a full track review? I was like, I can't afford to wreck that thing. I got full coverage on it for a couple days, but full coverage per month was something crazy. Like, I think it was like $1,200 to $1,300 a month, I think. I can't remember. It was something crazy. Like, my car is like, I think it's like $100, maybe $90 a month. So imagine $1,300 a month. So I was able to get insurance on it for 2 days while I rode it. But anyways, yeah, I couldn't afford to wreck that thing. So I rode it and did a little soft test ride. If you guys watched that video of my test ride, it was super casual. I only got on it in a couple gears, just a few times, like going over 100, maybe a few times, but I was not ragging on it at all. But yeah, so right after I did that ride review, a week later, I found a guy that wanted to buy it. So I got like, it was 8 and 8, so 16, probably another another grand into it, 17. So, and then I sold it for 25. So I can't do fucking math in my head. It's pretty good profit, and that made my wife very happy. So she was like, "Wow, I wasn't expecting that." I was like, "I was, and I'm glad you believed in me." And then, sure enough, as I edited each video, they were doing okay. So there's two-part goals. It's one, I want to rebuild a bike and possibly make money from it, which is good. But also, I want the YouTube channel to grow, because if I can get YouTube up to a certain size and it has a certain income, whether that's sponsors or just AdSense or whatever it is, then I can do this full time and not have to worry about it. But anyways, yeah, rebuilding it, did the videos, they did great, and then I did the full build video, and that thing's, I think it's at 180,000 views, which is blowing my mind, because all my other videos have been like at most like 15 to 20,000 views, so I was like, whoa, this one's doing pretty well. But yeah, the Desmo engine is the L shape. Yeah, so that's pretty much just the same V-twin kind of style in these, but definitely a lot newer. Oh yeah, dude, Facebook Marketplace is the way to go for sure. All these bikes, all the bikes that I ever rebuilt, Facebook Market, except my first bike when we moved back, which was the R6. We moved into a apartment building. It had a parking garage, and there was this R6 that had dust on it, like it hadn't moved in years. And finally, I was like, I'm gonna find out who owns that. I'm gonna buy it from him. And sure enough, the dude was like, yeah, I bought it. I rode it once. I just never want to ride it again. And I was thinking about selling. I was like, okay, I'll buy it. And I got it for a great deal. But that was the only bike that I didn't get on Facebook. But all the other bikes were all Facebook deals. But you got to be quick, because that S1000, I saw it listed one day, and he was like, oh, for parts. And the next day, I was at his house. I was like, hey, don't part this out. I'll take it off your hands, blah, blah, blah. And then that morning, he's like, I had another guy come with cash. Do you think you can come? I was like, I will be there in 10 minutes. And so yeah, I was really lucky with that bike. Everything worked out for that bike. I was really happy with that one. But I do try to buy bikes on Facebook Marketplace, and I try to have them with titles, or at least lost title, that I can get a bonded title, so it's a legit bike. A lot of bikes that like CJ Media does, those are full on like insurance write-off bikes you get from what is it, My Rec Toys or Copart and stuff. And I don't know what the paperwork trail you need is to take a bike from salvage to like a legit salvage bike into being able to ride it on the street. But also with me, there's that aspect of I want to make money from it, and it's really hard to sell a bike for profit when it has a salvage or rebuilt title, because there's just not much money into it. So that's why I'm always perusing. Oh man, I've been recording this whole time. Whoops. I've been perusing Facebook nonstop. Anyways, let's go ahead and get these over to the bike, get them on the bike, and then get this TPS tested. I might have to adjust this a little bit, but oh, actually, I need to film putting the plugs back on. Ta-da! All right, so one more thing to film. Let's see here. See if I can get this leg to sit right. But yeah, once you get that, Frank, once you get that RF900, make sure you get all the battery connections sanded down so you have good connections, and then your injectors cleaned, or sorry, not injectors, your carburetors cleaned thoroughly. Use tiny little needles to get through everything. Maybe even take your jets and carburetors to go get professionally cleaned if you don't have like an ultrasonic cleaner. There's companies like these guys that they'll clean everything for you, but make sure that's clean, because with the older bikes, that's your biggest gremlins is corrosion and carburetor. Everything else kind of just works, like maybe some switches aren't working. You even saw on the bearded mechanic, he sprays fucking the switch gear, which is WD-40, and clicks them, and then things start to work again. The biggest headaches are carburetors and connections. So the biggest one is like your grounds. Find all the grounds, sand them down, make sure you have bare metal, and then connect them snugly, and then get your carburetors thoroughly clean. Like there's a thing called a pilot jet, and that's a jet that just slowly lets in the tiniest amount of fuel, And the other jets are pretty big, and you can actually see a hole through them, but this one's so tiny you have to have a very, very thin wire to clean it out. Even if you ultrasonic clean it, sometimes there's gunk stuck in there, but yeah, I rebuilt a couple bikes that have carburetors, and it takes a toll when you have to take on and off the carburetor like 5 times. You're like, fuck, why won't this thing run? So that's what you need to look for. Connections, electrical connections, and like the surfaces, and then the carburetors. Anyways, let's get back to this guy. Yeah, what's up, guys? Let's see here. So what we're gonna do is just hook up these guys. I have them marked twice now, just to make sure I didn't mess up anything. We're gonna go ahead and get this set up, and then we're gonna go ahead and pull the bike. You'll watch me pull the bike away from the wall. Very exciting stuff. And then get that set up. I actually need to do the tension on the belts over there, so you'll see me use, where is it, the Gates. Aha, here we go. Gates belt tensioning tool. And this allows me, you can see even when I'm talking, it's talking about the different megahertz or hertz that it hears. And that bike requires, I think it's 110 to 115 hertz when you thunk the drive belts. So that's another new thing for me. But I've done it before already, but this is going to be the second time to do it. So let's stop talking and let me film this real quick. It's something basic, just hooking things up. But we gotta do it because we need the shot for the long form stuff. Let's see. Let me see if I can boost you up a little bit. There we go. Right here in focus. There we go. It's a little dark. Okay. And recording, so I'm gonna get quiet here in a second. Consult my picture. Vertical front VF. Bent on back on itself, which is kind of dumb. I don't really like that, but that's kind of how it was wired. Let me reshoot that. This one does the same thing, goes kind of like down and around and up. Kind of odd. Kind of want this one to go up in front. Just go up on top of that and down. So it's resting there. Ooh, will that clear it? Let's see. No, it won't clear it. Let's see if it goes like that. Because it's just close to the actual inlet. Anyways. it's done. Sweet. Okay, that's recorded. Ready to go. You guys still there? I know that was boring. But, sweet. Alright, I'm gonna turn you guys around. You guys are gonna see me move the bike out. The bike's just kind of hanging out in the corner over there. Yeah, there we go. So I'm just gonna move that guy away from the wall. And get this set up. My ass pops out. I do apologize. It'll be bonus content for you guys. Make sure that freaking whatever oil is on the fingers. See some Austin Powers action here for just a second. This thing has a terrible turning radius. Let's see. Get it in one. Ooh, nice. I actually got it in one few shots. And the whole reason why I'm moving it out is the way my lights above are shaped. If I don't have it in a certain spot, I don't get good lighting, but also just the fact that it's against a wall, so that doesn't help. There's a bar up there, certain light bar that's perfect for lighting. Alright, there we go. That's good. You guys can see that? You guys up a little bit. There we go. Alright. One thing I do enjoy is single-sided swing arms. It looks kind of nice sometimes. Okay, got that. What do I want to do first? Should I tension the belts and get that all tightened up? I think I'll do that because I've already filmed that, so it would just be you guys hanging out with me while I do that. And I think I've already filmed putting on the throttle bodies, so I filmed that. I filmed doing spark plugs because a lot of this stuff I've already filmed. This is like the second time around I'm doing it because he wrote it, had the backfire, and I brought it back and I went through the whole thing again just to make sure everything was good. So I filmed the carburetors. The only thing that I'll need to film is the sinking, actually. The TPS I'll film and the sinking. So the rest of the stuff you guys can hang out and watch while I do that. I don't need to record it, which is kind of nice because like you saw me messing with the throttle body, it does take its own time amount to do all that stuff. But let's go ahead and get you guys. That's why I don't like cheap crap. I need to get a better stand because I have my camera stand over there, which is a good tripod. I think it's from Binro. But this thing is just something my wife had, which is just like a cheap eBay, or not eBay, like Amazon stand. And if it just gets the slightest of nudge, it wants to fall over, and you can kind of see it looks like you guys are on a rocking boat right now because it has like a bendy arm for its thing. So how do I do this? I'll probably have you guys on this side because I'm going to be working kind of facing it so you guys can kind of see what's going on, but also have a better view. There we go. Cool. Let's see. What do you guys see? And let's move you down, actually. There we go. Let's see. So bring you up. Yeah, looks alright. You can see the rear cylinder. There we go. Sweet. Now, yeah, I think we're good. As long as it'll stop rocking. I'm just making sure it doesn't like settle and fall over. That would suck. Alright, but
So what we pretty much have to do is I'll use my phone to tension these guys down. I already got them set at top dead center. Top dead center, top dead center. Everything's good. I just need to tension the belts. I already have them tensioned a little bit, but I need to double check and make sure, and then I need to torque down these pulley arm or tension pulley arm nuts. And it's kind of difficult to do these because this one you have to use two offset wrenches, but then you have to not only do that, you have to hold them in place and use a torque wrench on this wrench and yank it. This one's really easy, you just put the torque wrench on it, but this one is a little complex.
So let's go ahead and get started with that. And I don't have a freaking tool out here, so that's good. Let me get tools. Sitting down. Let's see. If you guys have any questions, you guys have any motorcycle related questions, it's burning, I can do some brain dump if you guys have any questions about anything, because unless it's about cruisers. I know cruisers kind of, but I prefer sport bikes. So if you guys have any questions about sport bikes, let them rip. Discovered something that I did was dumb. The last time I put this on, I was in a rush, and guess what I did? I put the belt over the spark plug. So I need to take this belt off and do the spark plug again. That's okay. That's why we're down here. So we're going to do the easy one first. We need to get out, need to check the torque spec. Let me see what the tension pulley is. Ducati 996. Belt, tension, pulley, nut, torque. Yeah. Alright, correct torque values for cam belt, tension nut. Perfect. 2000, is it 71 newton meters or 12 millimeter nut? Let's see. I live on forums. Like for these bikes, it's nothing but forums. That's where the information is. You can do it by the books, but I don't have the books. So I just live on forums finding the answers. So anyone who's pulley retaining nut, the 4-prong thing. Is it MA thread? 25, somewhere between quarter turn, half turn, up turn, torque. Blah blah. Nice guys. That's that wasn't the answer that I was looking for. Let's see. It's supposed to be 25. Actually, come on, give me the torque figure. Anybody know that off chance? Any Ducati messages? Anybody know these bikes? Know the torque value for this nut, the belt tension pulley nut? I'm trying to find it real quick. I know the belt hurts, it's 110, but I cannot remember what the torque value is. And I really do want to torque these. Where is it? It's not good. Torque spec, anybody? Doesn't even torque spec on bolts, time belt. There we go. Help my friend, tiny belt, monster. Does anybody know the torque spec? The 2 bolts, going time belts at 28. Which not to tighten, blah blah blah. I just tighten hand tight, so maybe that sounds sketchy. Because these things, they have to be a certain tension, or else this has to be a certain torque. Because even when I did hand tight with these wrenches, I noticed that when I was pushing on the belt, like it came a little bit different and hurt, so it actually did loosen. So there's a lot of information on the forums that I don't agree with when people are like, just throw it on. I'm like, yeah, it'll work for the first couple rides, but what's up, dude? I can't read that. What does it say? Minax. I don't know what that is, but how's it going, dude? Let's see. Just did 25 for 8
Fuji nut. Use new nuts, washers, belts. Reset belts to 80 unless. Okay. So I think it's 25 newton meters. So now, what is 25 newton meters in foot pounds? Because I got an old school, not old school, just one that only reads in foot pounds. 25 newton meters into foot pounds, because America does things differently, which is annoying. Foot pounds, especially when all I love to work on are Japanese or now Italian bikes. All right, so that's 25 newton meters, roughly 18.4. So that's pretty much 18 and a half foot pounds. So what we got? 0, 10. Alright, so that is 10, 12, 18, roughly half. 18, put it right there. That looks good. Alright, that's torque value of 25 newton meters. We're good with this. So like I said, I trapped the spark plug wire behind the belt accidentally. So luckily this is the easier belt to get to. So let's go ahead and get this guy off and we will tune him up. I got 13, got 12, alright. So with doing these belts you have to have these offset wrenches because it insets into the socket. Alright, there's that one. And these have it's almost like what do you call them? What is called? Nylock nut. But these have the metal tab. I don't know if you guys can see that. It has kind of a full focus. Well, anyways, it has a metal tab instead of like the nylock nuts where it's that kind of plastic nylock or nylon stuff. So anyways, gotta take this off to get the belt back around. Alright, let me just go there for a second. Let's see if I can just do that. This. Maybe. Just go through there like that. Come on. I'm gonna just go through there. Nah, that's not gonna be good. Not gonna allow me. So, words wise, don't forget where your spark plug wire goes, like me, and put it behind there. There we go. Because this actually goes on top of this cover and goes around to there. So we'll just set that up here. Get this guy back on, make sure these guys didn't move. I don't think they moved. That didn't move. Alright. So, we got a pulley. This is the cam belt tensioner pulley with spring washer and nut. So, for those wondering what it is, that's what it is. Alright. Here we go. Oh, finger doesn't like that. I sprained my index knuckle not too long ago. And you don't realize how much you use it until you lose it. And oh my god. Having to do anything on the finger right now is difficult. Let's put it on the pulley and stretch it up. Come on, get up there. Right, all the way up there. Come on. You know you want to get up there. Here it is. It's kind of tough because normally you just throw it through and keep the come on, I'm gonna have to take this all the way off. Dang it. There we go. Not all the way off, but just have to get this on. Alright, spring washer, stay on there. I don't know if you guys can and see what's going on. Do an over the shoulder shot. I can get you guys there. There we go. Can you guys see? What's in the way? There we go. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's a fuse, but there you go. You guys can kind of see what I'm working with right here. There's the pulley. Make sure that's back on there. There. So that will go there. Let's see if I can get this. Nope. Damn it. Let's see if I can get you back on that. Right. So if you're low, this needs to be a little high. Go on there. Alright. I think that's good. I think that actually needs, that one needs to go down. It's like something's not sitting right. No, this one needs to move down one, so I didn't get that one off. So that's why I wasn't excited about taking it off. There we go. Because it is a little bit of a pain to get back in there. Now, let me see. Yeah, looks good to me. Because when I tension this thing up, it pulls it like that. You look good. You look good. All right, cool. So we're back to where we started. So we have this out and about and ready to go. Yeah. Anybody else anybody else in the chat have a Ducati? Have you guys ever done your own work on it? Or do you always take it to the dealership? Leave a comment, let me know. Frank, I know you're gonna have a nice experience working on that RF 900. That one's gonna be a good learning bike because 90s bikes are very mechanical. 90s and early 2000s, this is a 2000, are very mechanical. There's very little wiring. But like on the S1000, it's all wiring and it's all sensors and all these different things you have to look out for and not break. There's a lot of switches and it's like, ugh. It's just a bit of wiring, but mainly it's all mechanical. So the only thing I'm not excited for you about is carburetors. Carburetors are never fun. I don't want to do another carb bike just because of the headaches I had to deal with when dealing with carburetors and having to clean them so much or repeated times. Let's see, 22. There we go. Okay, let's see. Look pretty good. How's this one? Yeah, it lines up. That's good. Alright, so there's a couple marks. There's a mark down here, just out of frame. Let me see if I can get you. Just gonna twist you a little bit. Twist, 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 twist. Here, you can see it now. Yeah. Well, there's a bunch of wiring in the way, but there's a pulley right here. Press that up there. Hold on. Kind of worked its way off. There we go. Get you back on there. Make sure the belt's all the way on there. But anyways, make sure that's lined up. These two marks are lined up. These are always set. They're good. But yeah, so like I said, this one's easier because I have easy access with a torque wrench. Oh, I need to get a 12 millimeter socket real quick so I can torque that. BRB, 12 millimeter socket. 12 millimeter socket. I do need to film, that's right, I need to film using the 13 millimeter Allen key for torquing. I do need to film. Alright, let's see, where's the 12? 13. Here, these 3/8. Get a 3/8. Let's get this one. It's 10, 13. so I just need to change instead of the Allen. Let me just have this guy right here. Got the half-inch adapter and 12. Sweet. So here is the repetitive fun part. We pull open the, let me see, what did it say? 25 minutes. Okay, so I already got it set, but let's see. 28. Anti 8 Fuji 9. 10, yeah. New belts. Yeah, these are new belts. So I don't know. They've only gotten a little bit of riding on them, so they might have stretched a little bit. Actually, so reset belts to 80 hertz when less than 70 hertz. Let me check that. I set belts run torqued. Ooh, I need to figure that out. What is the belt tension for used? Because last time I saw they were brand new, but he's ridden this quite a bit, so I know these belts are worn in. Let me see, belt, Ducati, 996, belt tension. Let's see here. What we got? Check your belts, scan, blah, blah, blah. It's a thing. Everyone wants to make fun of whoever's asking a question on forums, so you always have to scroll a bunch. Timing belt insulation. Let's see here. Run through deflection. We're looking for right now the belt tension hertz. Which type of fuel is good? Which type of fuel is good for a bike engine, regular, unleaded, premium? I mean, it's really like the ethanol stuff is if you get a fuel map for it. These bikes are made for pump gas, and the rating or the octane on them doesn't really matter. It can matter to the slightest amount, but when it really changes is race gas and ethanol. But you have to get your ECU flashed and mapped to those fuels. But as for like what's the best, I mean, just regular pump gas, and you can run whatever it is, 85 up to 92. What is premium? I think it's like 92 octane or something around here. But yeah, the other two, like race fuel, like VP race fuel and ethanol, what is that, E85 or whatever it is, you have to get maps for those. I've seen the new S1000s from Brent Tuning? He has like maps for those, but the only problem with the E85 is sometimes you won't be able to find a good gas station with E85. But yeah, I just recommend pump gas if you're just riding it now. If you're like trying to take it to the track, drag strip, or whatever it is, yeah, you'll have to get either I don't know how those older bikes work, if they need a Power Commander or a Dynajet to get into the fuel mapping, or if you can just take the ECU off and get the ECU flashed. Flashed meaning reconfigured for whatever kind of fuel you want to use. Let's see here. I'm looking for hertz on a used set of belts. Let's see. Hertz. Not HR. Was it HZ? That's what it was. Let's see. Target tension is right there. New belts. But what's old belts? For new belts, 90. There we go. 90 for used belts. So I'll go for 90 because these, there's even a little bit of fraying on them, so they've gotten a little bit of wear. So I think they're stretched out enough. So we'll go for 90 hertz. So wait, what am I doing? I still need my phone. All right, let's close let's close some other crap that's going on so I don't drain my phone. Anyways, this is what we're using. It shows what's there, and that shows like the other ones. So anyways, so we'll get this to 90 hertz. So we got 25 Newton meters or 18.5 foot-pounds for this tensioning nut, and then we're gonna go with 90 hertz because these are a set of used or worn-in belts. I'm just making sure this is lining up pretty good. It's good. I remember this belt particularly wasn't exact. But yeah. so here's the fun part. It's just constantly tension, tighten, feel, tension, tighten, feel. So we're going to go this way. Always go counterclockwise, because if you go the other way, it actually pushes the pulley where the belts will actually touch. So the first startup you do, the first roll you do, your belts will disintegrate. So if for whatever reason, Frank or whoever's watching, always turn, when looking at the motorcycle, turn counterclockwise, because it pushes the pulley up here, and so there's no interference here. So let's do this. So I typically just eyeball it because there's a trick. Brad the bike guy and a couple other people don't like to do it, but it's where, let's see, let me twist you a little bit. Ta-da, there we go. Stop shaking. A little bobble. It's where you take the belt and you push it up, and if it lines up with this line on the engine case, that's about the right tension. But it really depends on how hard you push or what finger you push with. But if you push with your thumb, just moderate pressure, not like yanking on it. If it gets up to that line, you're okay. Now, if I really push, I can get it above it, but if I don't push, I can definitely go below it. But if it's just like a average push, you can get it to line up. So that's my basic setting, just to get a good idea on where the belt is. And that's what I'm going to do here, because right now it's definitely a little bit snug. There we go. So, anyways, get that. Let's see. That's just a little bit more. Tighten this down. Let's see here. What's that reading? I'm going to snug this up just a little bit more, because when you do put tension on it, the tensioner will move if you don't have it fully kind of snugged up, which is kind of annoying. I need to move this. There we go. Yeah. I need to move you. Which way? Which way do you like this? Which way do you want me? Okay. Let's see. What is that? Okay. Let's see what that is. So quiet on the set, please. We're gonna utilize the that's my daughter. Utilize the hertz measuring, and we're looking for 90. So what we're doing is this bottom one. Let me flip it over. Little low, 80, 80, 80, 80. So we need to go a little bit more. Yeah, the reason why I don't talk, because it just starts reading whatever hertz you're talking in, so that's why I'm not talking very much. Yeah, so let's go back, get this actually, look at this. Okay, so let's go loosen you just a smidge. There we go, and then I'll tighten you just a smidge. Again. You have to put the microphone closest to it. And it's really tough on here because you're thunking it behind the frame. So this one's totally easy. Let's see here. Give it a little squeeze. Make sure everything's kind of settled. If it was a new belt, that would have been perfect. But these are used. And yeah, see, here's a perfect example. I can't get it to the case. So these are not used. These are not new. So I do need to get these down a little bit. This best stuff. I'm going to go. There's that. I'm going to go a little bit looser. There we go. See, I was just kind of putting tension on there. Let's wants to move. There's a perfect example, like I was just trying to torque it and this guy was moving. So that's why torque specs are really important on this, because if this isn't torqued just right, that pulley will start moving, and if you lose tension on this belt and you skip a pulley, or a pulley skips a belt, the engine will start disintegrating and exploding because all the valves start hitting things. So that's one of the reasons why there's a lot of people scared of this, or Ducatis in general, is because the belts. If you don't get them right, don't get them torqued down just right, things can go boom real fast, right? So we're gonna squeeze them just a little bit, touch things, feel, rock it a little bit. A little bit lower. We're reading 83, so I'm going to give it just a little bit of a snug. Let's see here. So that's somewhere right there. Yeah. See, and that's the other thing. When you loosen this, it's hard to keep it. It's a little loose. So I'm trying to take note of where my yellow mark is. See, that's hard. This, hopefully this is the good one. We're shooting for 90. Let's get 90. Come on. Here we go. One, little squeeze, little squeeze.